Hey guys, we're back! Woo!
Weekly series, Jared. Weekly
I
series.
know, I can't believe it. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed to wear my Mario shirt. Look at this.
Oh yeah, I gotta start getting some of those memorabilia. We're just talking about quick note about like Mario Brothers era. Jared was talking about how he's recording footage off the Steam Deck right now, and back in the day, Nintendo or any of those promo videos were literally recorded to VHS. Yeah, we're showing our age, Jared.
Yeah, I
There's gonna
know.
be
I
some listen.
seriously
What the
people
f is a VHS?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly. People are
yeah,
gonna be like, what the hell is that crap? And like, yeah, we're old, man. We're
well,
old.
millennials will know millennials, but like, what is it? Gen Z? Is that the latest gen? I don't know. I
Uh,
can't keep or alpha, whatever. They don't know what it is.
it's hilarious. But yeah, exactly. Whatever. But it was kind of funny. So I was just talking about how like it blows my mind now that you can like remote play like to
Yeah.
anything with a screen now, and again it's coming, man. I'm telling you, this whole thing, it's coming where you're going to stream, like you won't need a supercomputer anymore.
Oh, exactly. That reminds me too. I want to talk about that. I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate,
Yep.
and there are actually a good amount of their games, not all, could be played via cloud. So some of them are pretty intense games.
Mm,
So I'm going to start doing that just to see, and not that I'm running on a hard drive, but just to see the comparison,
mm.
like how smooth it is, because that is literally something that we were talking about the Switch 2 specs and how they're again, nickeling and diming and
I
subpar.
love how you
You
always
know,
you
it,
always
you
say that.
know,
It's so funny.
but Nintendo with cloud can have games that are very beautiful, up to par with the current standards. The only issue is, well, like in America, there's some rural areas. I mean, I don't care if you live in that place, move to a big city, so it takes care of the problem. But, anyways,
It's
there
terrible.
are places in the world, like third world nations and South America, etc., that don't have the infrastructure or network capabilities that Like I'm in Los Angeles, I'm lucky. I have fiber to my house. I'm beautiful, never have to worry about it. But unfortunately, it's not
Yeah, yeah,
available for
for sure,
everyone. So
for
they're
sure.
going to have aren't going to be able to clouds. How many years? That's a good question. I wonder what our viewers think. How many years do you think it's going to be before clouds pretty much the standard?
Well, I think I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I think what's going to dictate that is going to be when you don't need your fiber optic cable to come to your house. When the
Yes.
technology, when this can be used worldwide, like I could be in the middle of the desert and have a 20 gigabyte or gigabit connection, that's when.
Yeah,
Like,
that's going to be a while.
well, that's the thing. Like, I think when satellite speed has caught up to the point where, because all it is data transfer, right? Like that's really all it is, like an
Oh
input
yeah, exactly.
output that's being relayed and the video signal. So there's a cap on that. Like it's not like it's like, oh, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. No, not really. It's the
Yeah.
same sort of input output that's being relayed. So like for me, there's going to be a point where I'm making this totally up, like let's say it's 20 gigabits per second or whatever is like what's required, or 10 or 8 or 5 or I don't know, whatever. But the minute you hit that, everything else becomes irrelevant. Like it doesn't matter how strong the game is, how powerful, because who cares? That's being done in
Yep,
Japan or
exactly.
in the middle of nowhere.
And let
So
me tell you how attractive that is to hardware manufacturers, especially let's bring up Nintendo again, who's traditionally, ever since GameCube, has not kept up hardware to standards of current generation like their competitors, which is fine. They've been extremely successful, except for like the Wii U. But overall, they've been pretty successful. The Wii, Switch, and we'll see how Switch 2 do. I'm pretty sure Switch 2 will do good. But for them, especially for a company that's very conservative when it comes to their specs, they just basically give the user a terminal, and it
yeah,
saves them a substantial amount of money.
of
So
course.
yeah, it's attractive. Yeah, but you're right. It's going to be some time.
Yeah,
But
it's
what
gonna
also
be it's gonna be some time.
another thing that right now is the mindset of the gamer is going to change, especially with this young generation, right?
Mm,
And this is going to tie into one of our main topics for today about live services games is the conception or vision or perspective, whatever you want to call it, of ownership
mhm.
of digital media. People are like, oh, I want to own my game. I want a physical copy. Damn it! That generation, there's going to be collectors, but realistically, I stopped getting digital years ago, and there's no reason to get digital. I mean, sorry, not digital, sorry, physical. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're a collector, great. You're gonna die one day. You think your kids are gonna freaking keep it? They're either gonna chuck it or sell it, guys. It's just because you love it. But realistically, there's no reason to get physical. And this notion about owner, it's all tied to own. Oh, I own it. I own it. Well, yeah, you do own the physical one. Digital, in theory, you really don't own it. Like Steam technically gives you a license to play the game. You technically don't own it. If they ever go under, they have no obligation.
Yeah, right.
Even though they
right.
say PR wise, don't worry, guys, we'll patch. Everything will be patched so you can play your game on bullshit. They're just saying that to keep the little Timmies and Janes out there happy. But realistically, if Steam goes under, yeah, you're screwed. But you really don't. If you look at the fine print, you don't own that game, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what people don't like about digital. But
well, you know,
away,
dude, you know how I feel. Like for me, it's. And Steven and I talked about this like a few weeks back when we last did a little podcast. We were like, he's of the mindset that, you know, the game belongs to the original creator. It's up to them. They can do whatever the hell they want to do, right?
Exactly.
And legally speaking, he's 100% right. Like 100% right. But I've always, and this is a Jarrod thing, and maybe it's because like I'm surrounded by PlayStation and Dreamcast games. Like my little desk here is filled with them. And yeah, okay, I have the collector in me and stuff, but it's I have moved on from that.
Yes.
Like I don't own, or am I lying to you? No, I don't own a single Xbox One or Xbox Series X game. Not one. Like I went 100% digital with those platforms because the hard drive was big enough to support it where it wasn't annoying, you know? Nintendo is the only exception that I have where I buy all the stuff physical. And the reason is because I don't like their preservation. Like that's the only thing. That's always been Jarrod's sort of take on this. It has nothing to do with ownership for me. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the fact that I can go back and buy a game 20 years ago on Steam, like Half-Life, the original Half-Life, and I can still play it. Yes, I know that there's a bunch of games that haven't been patched and stuff for the new OSs and stuff like that. But the point is that, yeah, technically you don't own them, but I still have access to them. If I go and get a dumbed down machine, put the Steam client on it, I can still play those games just fine. And that's the thing that's always bothered me with Nintendo, especially Nintendo. Is like their games are gone, man. They're gone. You have no way of ever playing them ever again. Castlevania Rebirth, it's gone.
They're just talking to. You remember when they shut down the Wii shop and I think the 3DS shop or one of them just recently?
Yeah.
They warned you. You have up to this date to download your game, or you're not going to be able to access it. You're right, and that's one of the things too. Is I'm not sure Sony. I stopped getting Sony and PlayStation 3 era. So is my PlayStation 3 games? If I were to get a 5, can I still get them or no?
Okay, so. Guys, everyone who's listening, answer Tim, because I don't remember. I know that there was the PS3 and the Vita that they were closing down the shops, and it was fairly recent. I think it was like a year or two ago where they announced that they were closing and people went batshit crazy. Like they were like, that's unacceptable and blah, blah, blah. And then they delayed it, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I know
that's
that
a good question.
It is a good question. I know that I downloaded a fairly significant number of like PlayStation Portable and PlayStation Vita games. And I have my PlayStation TV or whatever the hell that little gadget was. But like that thing is pretty much useless now because unless you have the game stored on that device, you that's it. Like it's dead. So that's the only thing. Like PC, Steam, they got it right. Like hands down,
exactly.
They got it right. No issue. I the last physical game I bought on PC was probably like Diablo 2.
Wow,
you know what I mean?
I think I even bought. Well, back then, Diablo 2. You're right. Internet was sucked. It was still, I think, dial-up era, maybe DSL. You didn't have cable.
Yeah. No. Well, okay. I'm being stupid. I would have gotten Warcraft 3 probably.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a couple of others. But like when Valve really started with was what like Half-Life 2, around that era. I just went all in. I just was like, enough of that.
You guys, everyone who's remembers when Steam went online, especially as PCP, there's a lot of hate towards Steam. Oh, what?
Of course.
F that.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah,
never survive. I
yeah,
refuse. And
yeah,
look at it now.
yeah,
Look at it
man.
now. So, yeah, people are reluctant to change. That's more kind of an instinctual thing too. But people tend
Yeah,
to find it
but
to
the thing is,
elaborate.
like, I'm just like, it's kind of one of the reasons why, like, I must sound like a Microsoft fanboy, but like, it's one of the reasons why I really like what Microsoft is doing. Like, they put like a ton of Xbox and Xbox 360 games on. Like, check your Game Pass Ultimate, right? Because I'm a
Yep.
Game Pass Ultimate member as well, and check it out. Go and take a look at like what you have access to. It's unbelievable. Like, all
Yeah, yeah, it's
games,
tons.
like,
It's a great service.
it
It's only
is.
going to get better.
And so, like, for them, that's why I did it. Like, I'm much more confident in buying my games digitally because I know that I'll have access to them if I want. And I know, like you said a couple of weeks back, that you're not, like, a huge retro gamer or whatever, but every once in a while, man, it, like, I get the urge where I'm like, yeah, I want to go and I'd like to just, even if it's for like an hour or whatever, I want to go back and try this particular game. But I look back now at like the DS, 3DS, and especially 3DS, man, because there are so many good games on that. And to know that, like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
you have to go, you have to buy them for, like, exuberant prices on eBay and stuff like that. And like, if you had a digital library and you didn't download it, it's gone. Like, just gone. And I hate that.
And
I,
it,
like,
yeah, and like if you're, what if an SD card gets corrupted or the internal
yeah.
memory gets corrupted? So there's that risk. Now you made a good point about the Switch. I only have one game physical for Switch, and that was Pokemon, was it Sword or Shield, wherever it is, because it had a promotion on Amazon. So it's the only reason why I got it. Everything else is digital. But you make a point. Now Nintendo claims that for the Switch to Switch 2, they're going to have a seamless integration or a nice integration to transfer the. So it looks like they are going to go to hopefully a storefront that's kind of permanent. But man,
It's
any
hard,
other
dude.
company, any other company but Nintendo, I would be happy. But Nintendo's just so far behind, dude.
Well, it's
And
also
I don't
like,
see them
dude, like,
improving.
they like they like to be unique, innovative, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, they like to do different things. So imagine, okay, let's just imagine that they do a dual screen Switch 2.
Oh, please don't.
No, I'm just saying, like
Okay.
imagine if they did something like that. Well, how do you preserve those games 20 years from now? Because,
Exactly.
like, the next machine might go back to just a single screen. Like, it's always been that with Nintendo, where it's difficult because they play around with, like, form factors, inputs, and all of that. So it makes preservation very challenging. And I know because, like, my little pocket here, which I love this thing. I would recommend this to anyone, man. Like, I have put more time into that little gadget than, like, than anything. And we're gonna talk about that. I want to talk about the Steam Deck. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but go talk about your live services.
All right. So live service games are always been a hot topic for gamers, and so I kind of wanted a little research, just the top end of it, and it kind of makes sense. It kind of ties into the whole physical versus digital or owning. Uh, because here's what the kind of your staple definition, because live service games will run off a server, which will eventually lose profitability, and then the game you paid for goes away forever, which is technically true. Because live service games, and this is another factor that people don't like, because live service games often focus on microtransactions, other paid services, which often leads a game down the path of pay for power or pay to win. Now, yes and no, not everything's like that. Now, not all live service games are failures. Fortnite, look at what Epic's done with that, dude. Amazing. They've actually made Fortnite a platform now. You have like I think like a Dance Dance Revolution game in its platform. You have a Fortnite Legos survival game, which is very good, by the way. It's really early in, but it's actually really good. Recommend free to play. You don't have to pay for it. Of course, there will be microtransactions, but so they have a platform, so it's done extremely well. So all these developers want to get on that, right? Oh, look, look, look. The problem is a couple of things: expectations or overpromise, or PR shit from these companies that promise a world and don't deliver on what that happens quite a bit. So it kind of hurts players' trust. I can understand that. Two, some of it ties into their players' own expectations and their narcissistic point of view. It's like, I want now. I want an offline version. That bothers me, dude. When you see like a co-op online game that's literally stated what it is, and people says, well, is there going to be an offline version? I want an offline version. No, then go get another game, you idiot. I mean, it's like these people are stupid, dude. There's a lot of stupid people out there. Oh, no, it's true. There's a lot of stupid people out there. Like when you research something, Jarrod, you don't just blindly buy something, right? I mean, most people don't, or maybe they do. I don't know. I'm wrong. But when it comes to online service games, don't sit there and ask for an offline version, right? That is stupid. I never understood that. So I can understand some of the stuff. Also, modern gamers are pretty impatient, dude. They want like years worth of content from day one. Yeah, games have issues at launch. That's temporary. Now, this is another thing, thinking about temporary, is the whole thing is, well, man, I want the offline version because what if I want to play and the servers are down? Okay, again, another idiot, because there's SLAs. I'm in IT. Servers, live server have to have a 99.99% uptime. Do you understand that? When that means 99% of the time, guys, when you log that into that game, it's going to work. Now, the exception is when they're launched. There's a lot of bugs. There's a lot of issues. That's it's how it is. Unfortunately, nothing's perfect in technology, but they iron it out, and it becomes very stable very quickly. Or at least they try. So recently, last month, I think it was, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came out, a new live service game from Rocksteady, which is Arcane, the Batman series, very popular, very good. So they have kind of a prestigious, reputation.
Yeah.
This game, Warner Brothers just announced, has not met expectations. Right? It's a bad thing about when you have a big, huge corporation. They always say it doesn't meet expectations. There's a lot of problems with the game right now. Server related, mostly some game baking bugs where you can't even play it correctly. It won't load. So yeah, I can understand people are going to jump on that whole, oh, look, if it was offline, I wouldn't see this problem. But those are all temporary. And now they are doing their best to trying to fix it, but it's obviously not fast enough. And that ties into, I want to ask questions of people in the community too. It's like, I think people are too narcissistic, man. People don't see. I'm from IT. I work with the developers. We're developers, so we understand how long it takes to fix things. It's not just, oh, snap my finger, the bug's gone. There's a lot of layers in development. Any developer and coder, and if you're a coder, please comment on here because I would love to hear you, kind of back us up here. So things can't be fixed at the lightning speed. Another thing too is live service games is they want content quickly, right? And that's another thing that doesn't happen. So there's a lot of negatives or stigmas against live service games, and I think some of it is justified, like the aggressive microtransactions. Yes, I agree with that. We've talked about that so much, but there's also player stuff, and the players don't want to take accountability for their preconceptions or their whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I would like to hear your.
I got so much to say, but
before we go there, though, let's talk about Helldivers 2, another live service game we talked about, like I think last podcast. Extremely popular, did well beyond expectations, but the game is literally have so many server problems, dude. They finally got the AFK issue fixed because people weren't logging out of the game. They go to work, go to sleep, they keep you on there, and it wouldn't kick you because they know it was so difficult to get into the game. Sometimes you wait 30, 40 minutes or etc. But people are still sticking with that game because it's such a great one. Suicide Squad gameplay loop, it's not that great. And that was some of the concerns they had in the beta, and I guess the developer, again, this is where the difference between an indie company perhaps and a big company is. Indie companies might take their time a little bit more in the oven to release, not always, or they're a little bit more, willing to fix the issues. Why stuff like Suicide Squad, Warner Brothers, I don't know how much control they have over Rocksteady, might say, hey, don't waste your time. We want you to focus on microtransactions. Yeah. So you see, there's a balance here. And go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay. So first thing, I'm just going to piggyback on the development side because I'm doing it right now with my company, right, with Eva. So just so everybody knows, in the development cycle, we do what are called sprints. All right. So the idea is like you work on something and you get to show it and everything and make tweaks and changes or whatever before the deployment of the entire thing, so that it allows you, it's called an agile methodology. It's basically just allows you to develop code quicker and features and things like that, because you can mess around instead of redoing the whole code base all the time. But whatever. What does this have to do with anything? It's the following. When these guys are making these games, right? Think of it like a timeline, everybody. So you have this core timeline. So like me. So I've got an application. I've got a minimum viable product that's going to be going to the App Store and Google Play in the next couple of months. I'm going to try and time it for Mother's Day, okay? Now, if I want to introduce a new feature for Christmas, I need to start within the next 2 months. I need to start those sprints. But the product's not even out yet. So how do I know if it's going to be successful? Or how do I know that Tim is going to want those new features that I'm going to be working on? And the answer is I don't. Now, when you're an indie developer, especially, you can't take the chance. You don't have the money to not only develop your full game, but like 80% done. Now I have to start working on the content that's going to be fed after the initial gameplay loop. It doesn't work like that. Like, you don't have the money to do that. Like, you have to wait until the release is out. People never understand this. You're going to have constant bugs. Just to keep the lights on, the servers on, all of that. There's an army of people that are working to make sure that you don't get bottlenecks in and all this kind of stuff. Forget about new features and new content and all of that. So I hope that explains a little bit, because like I'm doing it right now. I'm literally doing it right now, where I'm like, okay, do we invest another $100,000 into a feature that people might not even want? And I will have no idea. It's a gamble, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's that. So that's the development side. Now, like this whole thing of like, games as a service, it's kind of funny because like you experience the original game as a service, which were MMOs. Yep. Like they were the original. Exactly. They were like the precursor to this whole sort of thing. And it's kind of ironic that we have so many today of these games as a service that close down within like 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And yet you still have like, I know WoW is successful, so I won't use WoW. But like EverQuest, you can still play EverQuest.
They still make expansions last time I checked. That's amazing. That game is... How old? Like 99, I think it was.
Something like that,
so,
man.
Yeah, so it's insane that game still, and it's old. But it's still, they're still supporting it.
But that's
that's obviously a rare exception. But you're right, and that's another thing why I trust issue with these live service games. Like, let's say you paid a $60 game, 2 months later it's gone. I can understand why people are very hesitant. I can understand that aspect, but live service games on default are not evil, and companies. This is the thing is why I think indie games are very successful, or some are successful, not all, is because they don't have big corporate investors and overhead. Like Warner Brothers is a big conglomerate. They don't micromanage their games. They don't sit there, oh, no. They have certain rules and expectations. When the sales comes in, the big guys are like, wow, what happened here?
Yeah.
Well, why is this happening?
Yeah.
We were promised, or we were expecting this. That's the bad side of it. These corporate guys... Then they start kind of enforcing this, and then, well, we, don't make content. We want you to focus on microtraining. Just giving some random examples. Not all of it happens like that, though.
Yeah.
It depends on, like, certain IPs are just licenses only. So, like Warner Brothers, or Marvel, they don't oversee anything as long as their IPs are kept true.
Yeah.
And certain, like Disney, when they unless they're directly involved, they outsource their thing or their licenses. They expect, well, Mickey Mouse has to be did. You cannot use Mickey in a gun shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
And blowing people's heads off. That's all they care. They don't do the day-to-day
stuff.
No,
yeah, exactly. And I do want to comment on Justice League there, because I think that game, I'm not sure what the problems are with that. Because that game, it sounds like, at least from what I've read, that game has had serious development issues for a long time. And
Yeah.
that could be, guys, that could be as simple as, like, the vision was off. You know, like with Arkham, they had like a really tight vision. The trilogy, they knew where they wanted to go. They knew what they wanted to do. Blah 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 blah. It's look, no one is perfect, right? Like it's entirely possible that they, what's the expression? They bit off more than they could chew, and like they had,
that,
you know.
I forgot the video I watched on that. And that YouTube person, I should try to see if I can find it. But anyways, he made some great points. So sometimes companies, like he used BioWare as an example, and Rocksteady, that these guys are traditionally studios that are relatively small, or at least somewhat, and they thrive at what they like single player games. So when they don't understand going from a single player type franchise to a live service franchise is extremely challenging and not easy to do. Live service games are not easy to do, guys. That's another thing too. Expectations from players. It's like these developers want to get that cash cow of Fortnite money, but they don't realize it's not that easy to do. So it could be that Rocksteady just didn't have the expertise.
Dude,
the story of it, I hear mixed things. A lot of people are upset. Oh, you killed the Justice League. It's literally in the title, guys. I mean, if you don't expect that to happen, I mean, it's literally the ultimate spoiler. Kill the Justice. I wonder what the Jarrod. What do you think what the story's going to be, dude? What do you think it's going to be? I mean, come on, what idiots! Again, stupid people out there, dude.
This is hilarious. But like for me, I mean, I saw again. It was quite a while ago. I saw some like gameplay, and it didn't look interesting to me, and that's for me where I was like, oof, I don't know about this, you know, like I don't know, as sort of like oh goodness, was it called Arkham Knights? What was the follow-up? They didn't do it. It wasn't Rocksteady that did it. It was WB, I forget what developer they brought in, but it was the one with like Batgirl and Nightwing.
Oh, Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. Okay, perfect.
And I think that was a pretty decent game from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, it bombed, man. It like totally bombed, and I could see it. It just in the gameplay, I was like, what are you doing?
It's the other thing too is like looter shooters is a fad right now, right? And honestly, I played like Tiny Tina's Adventure, where the Tiny Tina's
I remember that.
Yeah, it's actually I laughed at the story and stuff like that, but the problem with that game is the grind to get great weapons. You had a lot of trash stuff, so you spend countless hours, and that's not fun, dude. And that's why the game kind of dried up. It's like I could understand making your game a grind. Like I'll tell you one thing, back to Helldivers 2, their grind is excellent because they have 2 tiers of shops. You can technically unlock the premium shop in-game for free, and they have a nice progression system that in the game itself is so fun that people want to continue. That's why people are putting up with it, right? Because it's such a great, fun game. Gameplay's fun. It's great moments. It's a good loop. And I think it's kind of hard for some developers. You see, another thing that individuals said, too, another YouTuber is, and this is 100% true about, well, not just live service games, but gaming in general, is they focus too much. This is what happens when you have bigwigs. Oh, what can we do? Let's focus on the microtransaction part. Instead of looking at the game, developing the game from gameplay up, fun, make sure your game core is fun, then worry about the microtransactions. And that's a fine balance, too. And it's sad because, like, Suicide Squad, it has some cool moments, it looks like, for if you look at the story stuff, but it's just the actual core gameplay itself. I don't think a lot of people like. Some people do, some people don't. You know, gaming is like art, right? What you think is beautiful in this, I think is trash, etc. So but there's some games that hit the mark where they kind of appeal to the masses, and they're just fun games overall. So yeah, live service games are interesting. They have such a negative stigma, and I can understand it about the whole microtransactions. I think that's kind of destroying gaming. But like I said before, who do we blame, guys? These things are making billions of dollars. Someone's buying it.
Well, yeah, so obviously.
Who are we to blame?
Yeah.
It's working. So companies are going to go after it.
Well, yeah, of course.
If you really want microtransactions to stop, Stop buying them.
Yeah.
Stop. But people don't.
No, no,
So,
exactly, precisely. But I do think that the Justice League game there, I don't think that's going to survive. I just don't. I don't see it. I can
it's
see
possible.
ICWB pulling the plug on that and just cutting their losses, which is really
Yeah.
sad because if they do that, then Rocksteady will be dead. That'll be the end.
Yeah,
of
and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I mean, technically, now let's give a great example of a live service game that's had nothing but had a horrible start. No Man's Sky. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They stuck to it, and they have the ultimate redemption program. So story. So it can happen, but
Yeah,
again,
but again, it depends. This is the WB.
But this is a company that doesn't have huge investors breathing down there.
Yeah, well, that's
So,
it.
You know, that's one good thing about indie games. They have a little bit more freedom, but at the end of the day, they still have to make money, keep the lights on,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
if it's belly up, they have to abandon ship too. But No Man's Sky is a great example of how you could turn your game around if you just stick to your guns. But with the Suicide Squad, I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it. It's because the word of mouth killed it before it ever launched.
Yeah, yeah.
It-
there was
it's-
concerns during the beta. There was
Yeah.
concerns during the beta about the gameplay, and like you just said, we discussed earlier, switching gears and development's not like
No way.
let's
No
switch
way.
that. Turn off the light, turn it on. It takes substantial amount of time and resources to improve, and you get to the point where you're so. And it had a lot of delays. I think it was work for 11 years or something like that. So you can't just switch gears overnight, guys. And people are impatient. And
Yeah, and then that's
there's
it.
a lot of factors.
Yep. Yep.
I
Okay,
think we
what's
talked
next?
about-
What's next on your list?
I think, well, that was pretty much all on my list. I think you want us to
Oh,
talk
really?
about
Okay. No, yeah.
Steam
sure.
Deck.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about this because like I see this really as like the future and I'm so fascinated to check out what's going to happen in the next couple of years. So like I was going to talk a little bit about like the whole thing with like the internet and stuff, but we already did, so that's good. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Steam Deck and Switch 2 because when the Switch came out, it really was this huge novelty, right? Like it was cool. That was a really good idea of having, and it's what I thought the Wii U was supposed to be, was like you could take the gamepad with you anywhere you wanted to go and you would have like a console experience. Like I thought that was going to be it when they originally announced it. And then you find out like you can't even go to the bathroom because the, you know, the damn thing will basically desync. Anyway, so it was really, really cool experience. And then I think, you know, your companies like, you know, Valve, your companies, I forget all the PC iterations that started to come out, right? Like all these like consoleized PCs started to come out more and more and more and more. And look, we don't have the sales, so I have no idea how successful the Steam Deck was. I have no clue. It could have been, you know, moderate success. It had to have been successful for them to have made an OLED version of it, like, so it had to have been like at least moderately successful. But looking at that device, like you texted me last night or the day before and you were like, oh my god, 64 gigs on the Switch 2 is what is being rumored and whatever. And then I was like, go to steamdeck.com, tell me the prices there, and you could see like for Valve they're like, we're just gonna charge you. You know what I mean? Like for all the specs and whatever, we're just going to put it on the consumer. If you want it, have at it. If you don't want it, get a lower tiered model and away you go. But I can totally see Nintendo doing something like that. Like I can totally see it. They're going to be like, yeah, the press is going to complain. Everyone's going to complain, but you're still going to buy it. So you know what? Who cares? Just buy an SD card, put a terabyte, 2 terabytes and shut up. You know, sort of deal. Like, I can totally see Nintendo doing that. But I am interested. I am legitimately interested to see, have any of these consoleized PCs changed people's opinion a little bit about that concept and what the expectations are. And I say that not in a negative way. Like, when I play on the Steam Deck, I'm like, I have access to almost my entire library of Steam games. And yeah, they're using Proton to convert from Windows to Linux and stuff like that. So, it might not be 100%, but man, it's pretty impressive. Like I said, I was like streaming to my iMac today and I was looking and I was like, man, even the frame rates are solid, and like I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm really curious to see where Nintendo goes with this. And I know, like, if Steven were here, he'd be like, oh yeah, but it doesn't matter, it's like Nintendo, like they have their own, like their own games, and 100%. And I'm not saying Steam Deck 2 is going to become the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not, no. But I am curious to see how this evolves, this whole thing.
It's a good question. And we have to also remember that Steam Deck users are not traditionally the same people that are buying the Switch. They're way different, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not even, you can't even compare like the mindset of the consumer, because the chief executive officer, they were Steam, they were when they were doing the promos, they interviewed him for like an hour or something about that, and they talked about Nintendo and say, what are your expectations? You look at what Nintendo's done, and he said, yeah, they've been extremely successful.
Mm-hmm.
From a business perspective, they've done extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course I would love the Steam Deck to soar that much, but we're not looking at that. They're two different markets.
100%.
Two different things.
100. Yeah.
You cannot compare them. And that was good to hear him, because if he sat there and said, we're going to go there and we're going after Nintendo, taking them down, they're like, wow, they're just literally setting themselves up for failure, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of
exactly.
good to see. Yeah, it's good to see that their expectations were realistic, right? So
yeah.
If it did great, if it did bad, I don't think they really care. I don't think, obviously they want their product to do good, right?
Well, dude,
I think they realize that that's going to be a very niche
But
market.
check out the marketing. Like, this is where I find it very interesting, because like when you go on the website, you can see they're like a consoleized experience is like their big thing. And I'm like, this is really interesting. Then you had the PlayStation, I don't know why I pointed over there, I don't own it, but the PlayStation Portal, is that what it is? The handheld.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That sold out, and
yeah, like everyone said that was gonna bomb, myself included. I was like, what kind of BS? Like, who's gonna buy a remote play? Like, basically a screen and buttons and stuff. Like, who the hell is gonna buy that? Well, apparently I'm a moron, because like the whole world bought it, and you cannot buy this device. It is sold out worldwide. And what's fascinating to me is now, all of a sudden, there's all these rumors that, like, oh, maybe, Sony's going to get back into the, into the portable market. And this is why I was saying I am fascinated to see the next couple of years, because Nintendo has proven there is something here. Like everyone before was like, oh, these devices, right? No, a portable would never survive. Never, impossible, because phones. But Nintendo basically said, oh yeah? And now look, it's like, like over 100 and, what is it? 120, 130, whatever million units sold. That now you've got all these other people paying attention saying, And I don't know, man. Like, I'm not sure what's going to happen here.
This is an interesting topic, because you have to remember right now, like, I hate to say it, Jarrod, you and I are no longer in the target market.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We're over 35, so we're out of it, guys. We still do it, but that's a rare. I mean, there's no disrespect for anyone 35 plus. There's plenty that still do it.
Yeah.
But in terms of companies' metrics, they don't even care about us.
Yeah.
Because either we buy it or we don't. They're not after us.
Yeah.
They're not going after us. But the thing is, when you bring about the phone, is how the phone is such a huge, vast market, and the young generation is literally growing up with iPads.
Yeah.
Their phones. They're the generation now. There's some of them are entering the workforce, like they're 18 plus, but most of them are still kind of relatively young, so they're not buying stuff. They rely on their parents. Will they be the generation where consoles will be a thing of the past? Like, who plays with consoles? It's garbage. Who wants that? Yeah. The problem with mobile games in general, not all, there's some exceptions to the rule. Most of them are pretty much the same. They're very much time gated. They're very much designed for you to fork over money or wait a day to build up your base. Very basic gameplay. So you know, there is those kind of challenging. A phone you could technically get a controller, but most people never do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, the generation as they mature, the ones that are pure digital, the millennials they're even getting old.
Yeah,
dude.
man.
So it's like,
But dude, is Steven's kids, I mean, he said it. Remember I was telling you about that the other day there, like where he was like, at their age, he was like, I was playing like The Legend of Zelda. I was playing, games that were no longer like simplistic. They had started to introduce, and he's like, but all they want to do are like the really quick, like, time stuff. Yeah, it's the TikTok generation, basically, right? Just
TikTok brain,
just
very short
little blasts of what is it called? Like in your brain, what is the chemical?
Adrenaline.
Not adrenaline. What's the one for pleasure there? Like, is it endorphins or whatever?
Yeah, endorphins. Yeah.
Where you're just getting your little kick, right? That's it. Just get this little kick of, ooh, that was fun. And then that's it.
And that's kind of scary too, right? Because then these, like, future games are just going to be freaking designed for those quick little bursts. Yeah. I mean, there's some games that are out there that are cool like that. But yeah, that's a concern. Steven has kids, so he definitely sees himself. And that's not only his kids, by the way. There's a lot. And that's what I'm talking about, is that generation. This is going to, well, I don't know if you can see the camera. I'm holding my phone. This is going to replace consoles, and the PC's always going to be there. They've been saying all PC's going away. It ain't going away.
No, but I think what's going to happen with PC, man, I think is you're going to end up in situations sort of like where I am, where it's like, okay, but like, why am I going to buy a $12,000 Uber gaming rig if I can stream it?
He's exaggerating, but yeah, I know.
I am exaggerating.
Dude, there's people, some of the college age kids at work, or in their like mid 20s, or even people in the 30s. There's a lot of people who don't even have desktops. They're like, nah, just have my tablet and my phone. What do I need? I have my work PC if I need to do anything. But so there's a lot of people out there, and that's not necessarily new, by the way. There's a lot of people who don't get desktops. They're not gamers.
The market, the desktop market is like, it's not, I don't want to say dying, but every year it's getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And I mean, look at me. I have this massive tower. I spent around $6,000 on it back when it was, but it's because I bought like the top graphics card, which was $3,500 back then. Like, now that same graphics card is probably like $5,000 or something crazy. But I got away with all of that because it was too much space, too much heat, too much noise, all of that. I got this, this 24-inch iMac. It never makes a sound. It's literally, it has a fan, I think, but it's never on. And because my internet is fast enough, what's the point if I can just stream it? And that's kind of like where I'm getting to. I'm not there yet. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not there yet, but I am starting to really think about that, to be like, do I really need to have this crazy, monstrous computer if I can simply use this as like a monitor type of thing for someone else's?
And that's what I want to do, is start playing my Xbox Game Pass content on the cloud, because it's either or. You could do either or, even if you have it installed. And I want to see, because you're right. Maybe you get to the point where, you buy a $500 terminal and you're done.
That's
and
it.
You could have beautiful high-end graphics.
That's
right?
it.
So,
and in some cases, it's better than what you'd be able to afford.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell you. Nintendo has a few games that are cloud-based, where they have games that actually look very good that the Switch is not capable of, but they're very niche, man. There's not that many of them, and that's why I'm trying to say,
look at the Switch. What is the Switch's Wi-Fi?
It's not even 6 or anything like
that.
No,
that's what I'm saying. It's probably 802.11n or something like that.
Yeah, it's horrible. So
that's why.
I hope
that's why.
I hope that and I hope that their next system uses the more modern Wi-Fi technology.
Well, damn well better if they're going to, because that is like, so guys, this is the whole thing, right? Everything goes hand in hand. So, like I was saying with the Steam Deck, the one I have is the OG Steam Deck. The new OLED one, I think, is Wi-Fi 6 is in it. So if I had that, it would be even faster, right? Like and so this is the whole thing. And I'll be honest, man, like the more I've been playing it, and I'm just waiting for the stupid dock to come in, and then I'm going to review a couple of games because I got some really good ones. You got to try that game. I got to tell people this story. It was just so funny. So I had a friend of mine over while I was working. I had my Steam client on, and it's like, hey, you just spent like 30 bucks on some games. I'm like, what are you doing, you moron? You know, like whatever. And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Anyways, I get like, you know, whatever. I complete my day and whatever. And he's taken off, and he downloaded like these 2 adult only games. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah. And so this guy, of course, right away is like, yeah, sure. Right?
Yeah, I said that. Let me take a look here.
So
I said that.
I managed to get a refund on like a straight up, basically a porn game, to be really honest. But this other game, I can't believe I'm going to say this. The joke is on him. So I don't remember. It's like Castle Succubus, I think it's called, or something like that. No, but it's a 2D Castlevania game, and it comes with 2 versions. So there's a not safe for work version, which honestly, guys, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Put the safe for work version on because there's like no story. Okay, like it's a Castlevania game. Like, you know. I can't believe it's absolutely excellent. Like it's an excellent game. I'm gonna review the game, and
Jarrod.
And no, I can't wait to see like people's reaction to this because it was like, I don't know, like because I didn't want a refund for this one because it was so cheap. I think it was like $5, $6, something like that. But it's a combination of Castlevania 2, Castlevania 3. So it's really cool, man. Like, it's really cool. You have the classic Metroidvania map. You have 2 different castles that you traverse. You find new power-ups and whatever, and then go back and get other ones and stuff. And it's got very similar, like, global storyline to Castlevania 2. So I'm at the part where, like, I finished the boss, and then like the minions want to resurrect the boss, and in order to do something like that, well, it's a little loose. I think it's actually internal. So I think it's like, well, anyways, I don't want to spoil it if people actually want to check out the story or whatever, but you have to destroy 7 parts of the boss, kind of like Castlevania 2, you know, with the rib, the eye, and this and that and everything else. And yeah, I just
remember that. Damn, it's been so long, dude.
But I'll just say, like, I've been having an absolute blast with this thing. And so it's a really funny story that I will absolutely tell people in the review because people will have a good chuckle. But yeah, so check that out. Seriously, it's on sale right now. I think it's like 25-50% off right now.
Oh, nice. I might check it.
It's totally worth it.
Hey guys, he's bullshitting. He, quote unquote, friend did it. Yeah, right, Jarrod. I give him a hard time when I heard about it. I'm like, fucking Jarrod, dude. You know you bought it on purpose.
Yeah,
dude.
right. And I spent like an hour and something playing it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny though that because I look at some of my friends, and sometimes you see, one of them, I'm not gonna say his name, but one of the people on my friend list, he does buy adult. And I'm like, are you see? I didn't even know there was adult because by default it's hidden, and I couldn't see it. I'm like, what the hell? Why can't I see this shit? And then it says go. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize there's adult content.
No, yeah, man. Most of it's literally garbage, pornography. Right? So that's why,
it's most of it's garbage. But,
yeah, well, this was the whole thing, dude. This was the whole thing. So like, I boot up this one game, and I'm like, what the hell is this crap? So I'm Googling, because everybody sees it, right? It's on your profile, it's on your everything. And I'm like, great, thanks, man. I'm going to look like a perv. And so, like, I was Googling.
Don't let your wife look at your profile. It's like, what is this?
But I was like, I'm looking this up, and I was like, how the hell do you remove games? And then I didn't even know you could refund. So I was like, screw this. I was like, F this. I don't care if people think I'm a perv. I'm getting my money back. I'm like, the hell with that. But yeah.
I mean, that's a whole hot topic, right? It's like each of their own as long as, you're not doing anything wrong. Porn's porn. I know a lot of women or not necessarily women, but some people think it's perversion or but
oh, whatever. To each his own. I don't care. I was like, I'm not, dude. I'm like, I think it was like 20, $25. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
That's a lot. What the hell?
Yes, I was like, screw this, dude. Are you out of your mind? So, anyways, they were super cool though. They gave me the refund. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm waiting to get the money back. Actually, after this call, and I think I'm gonna pick up the Tomb Raider trilogy. Like, you know, not the new,
how that is.
Not the new Tomb Raider trilogy.
Oh.
Because everything I've heard about that, man, like, is garbage. But I'm actually thinking of getting the survival one from a few years back. Like, I loved the first two. I never finished the third one. And if I get all three of them, it's like $25. So I was like, nice. Oh, well, what the hell? Let me just get all three of them. And they come with like all kinds of DLC and stuff. But mark your calendars, because guys, I think it's like next week or the week after Contra comes out.
Yeah, no, and there's a demo on Steam and
there's a demo. I think there's a. So I played it on Switch and it was god awful, and then it's so for those wondering like why, it's really got to do with the what's called the frame rate. The frame rate is just terrible. I don't understand.
Yeah, why? Do you think it would be able to handle that pretty easily?
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of handling. I think it's a question of optimization. I don't think they optimized it. But on the Steam Deck, it was perfect, like literally perfect. So I was like, okay,
interesting.
If my stupid dock comes in, like I'll definitely do a review of that. Like I said, I won't. I like the remote play, like it's cool and stuff, but I'm not gonna do that for not for reviews. I'll give you guys like a pure thing, but I will stipulate that this is being played on the Steam Dock, so people don't go like, what the hell? Why does a PC game look, potentially a little janky or whatever? But dude, you don't own a Steam Deck, right? You never bought one?
No.
You should see later on. It might be something to check out. Not now, but it might be something to check out later on. I must say, I'm pretty damn impressed, man. The fact that it can play Cyberpunk, it's not bad, man. Like I was pretty surprised. And you can, because it's running Linux, you can install the Epic Store. You can install Xbox. Like you can play all of these games. Just make sure you plug the machine in, because hot diggity damn, man, the battery in mine, that's my biggest complaint. It's like it's a hunk of garbage. It's like an hour and 20 minutes or something, and that's it.
Wow, that's not good.
Yeah, but the new one apparently is like 12 hours. So I was like, oh wow. But
I wonder if those chipsets a little bit more friendly with heat and more friendly with
well, yeah, they changed the nanometer. I think it went from 7 nanometers to 6 nanometers in the new one. Like it's a smaller chip, and it's supposed to run cooler, quieter, and even some of the games, like there's increased frame rate. Even though like Valve said like no, like we're not screwing around with any of that. But anyway, all right. I guess that's it.
Yep. Oh, I want to note on Steam, there's the 2K publisher sale right now. So there's a lot of great. Civ is on sale for 90% off of the game, so $5.99, just an example.
See, that's crazy.
Marvel's Midnight Suns is on 75% up. Highly recommend getting that, especially there's some Borderland games. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which we were talking earlier, 75% off. It's a good game. I do recommend it at that price for sure. The grind's a little tedious, but just play through then there's Tiger Woods and WWF, NBA, so BioShock. So yeah, a bunch of cool stuff. Check it out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Tim, I will see you next week, and everyone else.
New topics.
Yeah, exactly. Take care, everyone.
Later.